Hello and welcome to Retro Cars Reborn. I'm Lee, and in this week's episode we're going to be looking at the Capri again. Oh yeah, we're just going to keep going on the Capri, I think, until it's pretty much at paint stage or really close, and then we'll jump back on Pinky, because then that'll be two cars that are really close to being painted. So let's get on with it. So we need to definitely, if this, what is going on with this? We need to deal with this. As you can see, it's 2 layers. Well, technically 3 layers, because you've got the spring hanger section, which I built up there. So basically, underneath this, you've got the actual chassis leg itself. Has this nice flat piece of metal that comes out to about here, and then comes down, and underneath the spring hanger, as you can see, it goes all the way to the end. I don't know if I did that on that one. Above? Did I? Yes, I did. Yes, I replicated that pretty well. So yes, so we need to at least lift this one up in this corner in order to actually get a piece to go underneath. I can see me having to lift up quite a big piece to get back to some decent metal actually on this chassis piece. And then obviously this piece that you can actually see is the actual floor pan. So it goes floor pan, chassis leg, spring hanger section. And basically, because Ford didn't put any seam sealer around the edges from the factory, water gets in, and this is the result. So yeah, not good, but as you can already see, I've already done it once before. So this should be a doddle. So far, all I've done is started to clean up the area, and as you can see, with the cleaning, has found the rust. So we're going to have to fix the inner part of the cylinder. This got worse. So that was just a load of seam sealer and under seal. And now it's just a load of holes. So that's got worse. It's definitely looking like I'm going to have to take more of this up, but at least we can see where the spot welds are, because this is nice and factory still. But yeah, it's not a bad thing that we're going to be taking it up, because there'll be some rust underneath that panel there that'll want addressing. Same down here, look. This will just want fixing. So it's not going to be too bad. So what's the next move? I think I'm just going to drill these spot welds out, and then we shall see how easy it is to lift up. So my torch has died, but I have managed to achieve what I wanted to do. I had to drill out more spot welds than I wanted to, and obviously one got me in it and went all the way through. But yes, we can now get to the affected piece of metal behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off right here, and then repair this piece from the inside, because it's the floor. We'll cut it out, and then we'll come back round, put a nice fresh piece of metal on this, and yeah, we'll be able to chuck this back down. It should be nice and simple. Don't know how we're going to repair this bit yet though. So I started cutting through it, but I just wanted to show you that the build up of rust inside. Look. It's quite mad that this is what is going on behind these panels. Let's get a scraper. But basically, this is what builds up in between the panels, forces them apart, and you end up with a rusty ass car. So that's it from the other side. So this is the piece that I've cut out. Now as you can see, it was a repair that's already been done. So you've got original metal up the sides, and then welded on top. And as you can see, it suffered really badly, both sides, with going rusty again. Yep, so that can go in with the scrap. We've got to now look at chopping this piece out. I'm going to make this piece here separate because it's got a curve in it. I also need to cut up to this piece here, and you'll need to visit the other side, because as you can see there, look, it's still got some of the repair panel on the other side. It more than likely is welded on the inside to about there. We shall see. It's another new, nice, sunny day. So we've got the Capri completely on its side, so I can stand inside it, basically. And we can now address this side. So there is where the weld from the previous one ends. Now if I can grind that back and the metal underneath is in decent condition, then we'll leave it there. And that's basically the plan here right now, is I'm just going to attack it with the drill with the wire brush on, and we'll see what is left afterwards. So I've gone ahead and cleaned it up. I've even chopped out that nasty piece that was there, so I've exposed the actual chassis now. But the metal down this side and at the bottom's okay, and this will go again. But cutting that out is going to be fun. I might just do a piece like that. But I know why this metal bung has never been removed. Someone welded it in like. How fun is that? You got some water leakage around your metal bung, weld it in. Why not? So I cut it all out, and it's come time to make a template. And basically what I've done is I've just taped a piece of cardboard to the back. It's probably not going to turn out perfect because I can't tape it flush, which is a shame. Look, as you can see, that's probably too far this way or too far that way. See what I mean? When that gets pushed forward, it's probably not right, and that piece is probably actually a lot longer than that piece there. So I'm just going to cut this out now, get a piece of metal, and we shall see how it turns out. So the plate is made, and it's not a bad fit. It needs to be welded down here. Basically weld the square in first, and that will let me bend then this piece into the back so that it fits nice and flush. So let's get tacking and whacking. So this is the plate from the other side, so the underside of the car. I've welded it in a couple of places, got it as flat as possible here, and obviously the more you flat it, the more it bends out. So basically now I need to be able to bend this piece in order to get a tack in that corner, or one there or one there, and then we'll be able to whiz all the way around it. I'm definitely seeing that it's going to have to be welded from the back side as well in order to close this gap here, and then we'll be able to fit another plate onto here, which is this piece here, and then we'll be able to bend this back down over the top, and it'll be complete, and it'll look like this side. Yeah, it's not doing too bad. Well, that became an absolute nightmare to weld in, and that's because, well, you can see it here, look. You see this rust running up here, and all the rust running around here, that basically, and the rust there, the bit of rust here, and the rust running all the way around the panel. That's basically because the metal is got surface rust in it, and I haven't cut the surface rust out, and I plan on treating the surface rust instead of cutting it out. You can see the pitting there, like, instead of cutting that out, it just makes it very difficult to weld, which is why it ends up looking basically like this shit. Because it just don't weld great. Not like when we put that fresh panel in the boot floor, because all the metal was all brand new and it was all nice and clean, and it wasn't, basically I cut the entire piece of rust out. It made it better. Well, anyway, it's in, so let's get it ground back and see what the rest of the floor basically ends up looking like around it. So in true Retro Cars Reborn fashion, and with my look, I started to nicely grind the floor down, and oh, look what we did. Yes, so beneath all that welding that was probably done, well, I've owned the car like 13 years. So that was done probably 20 years ago, maybe even more than that. Yeah, so basically just underneath that blob of weld there's just nothing. So I'm just going to re-blob that, and I'm just going to leave that as is. It's in, it's not coming out. So I'm just going to get back to grinding all this down, grinding this down, and we'll see what it comes out like. Okay, so it's ground back pretty well. There's only a couple of places that have got some pinholes in. Not too bad. And I've ground back most of the floor as well, and it's in relatively good condition apart from where they welded that, but I'm just going to re-weld that back up and forget about it. The only other thing I was concerned about was this, right? So originally the floor mount here looked like it had been like cut through, but I've ground it back and I've poked at it with a screwdriver, and it's basically just rotted away. So we need to drill out these spot welds here and replace this floor piece here, and then basically put the strengthener and the what holds the basically the threaded piece in back on from the underneath. But from the underneath you can't see this cut. It's just like it isn't there. But yeah, so basically I found another place to fix, so I might as well do that while I'm here. The funny thing is, it's still putting up a fight, even though it's practically off. I just don't know why it would still want to fight me at this last stage. But it will come off. So this is what lay beneath the basically the seat mount, and it isn't the first one I've had to take off. The lower one is off because something similar had been done to it, and I'm using that as the earth point whenever I do any welding at the moment, because there's still loads of little bits that want finishing off. But this one should be nice and simple. Cut it out, slap a new one in, and then put the mount back on. Voila! One hole. What can we see through it? Oh, look, it's another car that Lee still needs to do loads of welding on. Holy crap. Yes. Let's get this one filled in. Trust me, that's going to be one of the hardest templates I've ever made in my life. It's so good. If I let go of it, it just falls straight through. So let's get this transferred into some metal now then. Well, I started to tack it in, and I just didn't trim this corner enough, and it's catching. So we're just going to have to take that edge off with the angle grinder, and then tap it in and tack it. But if for some reason the welder's acting up, I think my ground is no longer good enough, so we're going to have to address that to find a new ground. So there we have it. That's the new plate in. That's looking good. Now we've got to drill a hole in the center of it, but we're going to do that from the other side. So I'm literally just grinding the floor back, getting rid of, basically it's hammerite and then red oxide primer, and it's an absolute bitch to get up. So it gets over to the other floor mount, and oh, look at that. So this is the seat mat in the floor, and this one is also trashed. So we're just gonna have to cut this one out as well. It's mad. I can't believe they're that bad. The ones this side, well, to be honest, that one's still got the plate on top, so I don't know. That one I did cut out because it was trashed. But yes, they're not turning out to be any good, these seat mounts. So yes, it's not looking good. So I'm going to grind this one back a bit more, and then we'll look at drilling the spot welds out. So the underside I've just started to clean up, getting ready to make the next plate, which is going to be the square which comes off this chassis rail here. Then we can prep all of the underneath of here, clean in there as much as we can, and spray some primer in there to keep it safe for the future years. I've cleaned this also from this side, and yeah, I'm gonna have to take this one off as well, seeing as the other side of this one is also rusty. So there we have it. It's rusty, it's crusty, but it came off nice and easy. Yeah, the captive nut that it's got a bit of a slider in it to you know, move the chair about a little bit, but hopefully we can make it look like that one there. And hopefully when I take the cover off the other side of that from the inside, this one doesn't need touching. Oh, so now I've got to clean up all this area. So I've cut the old piece out. It was nice and crusty, as you can see. And we've got our new piece ready to go in. Just got to do some filing around the edges, and it's just nice and simple replacement, just like this. Got some fiberglass chucked over the top of this bit. Now I will obviously sand that down, and I've got fiberglass chucked over that bit now, and again I will obviously sand that down. But let's get this filed, and we can start welding it in. Well, got it tacked in, so now let's run round it and see how many holes it decides to blow in it this time. Right, and there we go, welded and ground back and drilled a hole in it. Can he go wrong? So my next course of action is we need to clean up the plates off the back of this one, clean up the plates off the back of this one, getting it to go back on the bottom is the easy part, look, because you literally just bolt it in place. So now I've got to make the decision whether I weld it from the underside or I weld it from the inside. I think I'm going to choose welding it from the inside because then I'm welding onto a thicker plate instead of welding it through the bottom and onto a thin piece of metal. What's it? I think we'll do it from the inside. So I'm welding onto the thicker plate. So what I've done is I've cleaned the back of the plate off. This is this one. And then basically just re-drilled the holes where, now you can see that they're not perfectly lined up because I haven't drilled the spot weld holes in the exact same position because I didn't want to end up down the weld line like the originals were. Then down here, look. You see when I originally cut it out, look, the originals ended up on the weld line. See, that one ended up down the weld line, look. So I've just slightly gone a little bit further forward with the plate. But yes, basically, yeah, just nut and bolt straight through the middle. I've chucked some weld through primer on the underside of the bracket after I'd obviously cleaned it up. This one needs doing next, which brings me to my fatal mistake of already chucking fiberglass over this, because it just means I'm going to have to drill through it and clean up the area that I'm going to weld, and this will probably all catch fire now because, you know, I'm stupid. So yes, let's see how this welds on now. So I've got it welded in, so I'm just going to now go over with some fiberglass to fill in all the little pinholes, and then it can be painted. Well, we'll just primer it for now because the entire inside of the car, I don't know whether I'm actually going to spray it body colour or just spray it black, because it doesn't really matter. I've sanded down that fiberglass that I chucked on this, because obviously I've got to drill 4 holes in it, just like I did with the top, to weld the captive nut and bit back on the bottom. But yes, it's not turning out too bad. Now we've got to sort out the back side of that. So you're seeing that I'd got this repaired. So what I've done now is I've flipped the car over so we can get back to my lovely bent plate here. And what we're going to do is now we're going to make this piece here that basically is the end of the chassis rail that fits on here. And I cut this one back a bit far, well, a lot further than the last one, so it must have been more rotten than the other one, because the other one I managed to cut completely flush, but this one's got half of the rail, look, still there, the rise, and then it would become completely flat. So let's make a template for this and let's see what we can come up with. So I've got my template. I'd basically just followed the line all the way up. That's where this piece ends, and we know that piece underneath is slightly further forward of it, look. So we've got it slightly over. We've gone a bit further, so we've got a bit more to play with. We've marked there and there, which is where the chassis rail lift is. So now we're going to have to try and turn this flat piece of cardboard into something that looks like that. So, what did we come up with? Basically, it'll go back into place, this bad boy. So it finishes off the bit of chassis and goes nice and flat. Finishes off the bit of chassis, goes nice and flat. Yes, my vice decided to make a hole in it, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to drill that hole out anyway, and that'll become one of the spot welds that holds it on. Because I think, I can't remember how many the other one had. I think it had one there, and then two in the centre. Just about there and there to hold it down. But yeah, I'm super happy with that. So let's weld this bad boy in. I don't know how much you can hear me over the raging fan, because it might look like it's been raining, but it's still 28 degrees. So I got that piece welded in, nice and smoothly done. Now I'm just gonna clean this plate and in there as best as possible so that it's protected. And then basically we just got to bend this plate back, slap it back on, and then we've just got to fill in all of our pinholes with some fiberglass filler, and we'll have another part of the floor that's done. I've still got to get rid of all of this old well, it's basically under seal and seam sealer off, but yeah, it just means we can move on to finishing this piece. It's bent back pretty well, to be honest. It's only a small gap, got to deal with that. Managed to get a nut and bolt to go all the way through it, where I accidentally used a spot weld cutter to go all the way through, so that's kind of helping a little bit. I think the main problem is it's got a crease here now, so I'm going to try slide something down the back underneath there and try and pop it back this way, and hopefully it'll fold that bit down a bit better. Right then, I mean, it looks like a ginormous mess from here, but basically we've got it welded back in. I mean, I just need to, one, fix that, and these are the pinholes that I talk about. And basically, because they, you know, you'd spend forever just welding over them, so you might as well just put some fiberglass filler in there and just call it a day, because it's welded on. Bit of fiberglass filler in there is not going to harm anything. Same with where it's been welded in, look. You just can't cut that down to nothing. So just put some fiberglass filler around the edges. So it's a little bit later in the day now. See, it's not as bright out. And basically, this is what the fiberglass filler does. So you just put it across where you've done your welding, and all you're using it for is to just fill in the little gaps. Yeah, it might look and give it a horrible texture, but at the end of the day it doesn't matter, because you're going to cover, well, you might not, but I am going to cover the entire car once again with basically the seam sealer, like the whole car, because Ford just didn't bother. Like this line here from the factory by Ford, nothing, didn't put anything on it to stop any water getting in there whatsoever. but I want this car to last a hell of a lot longer than that this time round. So we've got that bit of floor fixed. It looks not too nice from here, but it's all metal. I welded a piece in there, so now we've just got to finish off this floor mount, and then I'll call it video done. So the last thing we want to do for this video is clean up this floor mount and get it slapped on there, ready to be spot welded back in. Well, plug welded back in. But I can't remember if it was that way round, that way round, that way round. So I need to go and find the piece of metal that it was once attached to. Got it slapped in, so now let's grind it flat and yeah, see what it looks like. That did not turn out bad at all. I mean, the centering on the hole could have been better, and I can't believe I did that, because yeah, that's terrible. The nut goes in, don't get me wrong, but shocking. I'm sure it's not going to affect the seat going in at all. But, you know, I'm going to have to go get a seat, I think, now, just to see if it's going to fit in. I'm not too sure if there's even one in there to even grab a seat. But yes, we just want to go over this with fiberglass now, and then basically we can finish the floor piece off and make it look nice. Now, I did want to paint this entire floor body colour, just like someone painted the entire interior silver, even though the car was green. But I don't think I'm going to bother. I think I'm literally going to end up painting the whole car with red oxide primer on the inside, and I'm going to end up putting some sand deadening and some floor matting down anyway. Now, I sanded this side down and I tried to make it look as pretty as possible, and then I realised, wait a minute, what am I doing when the repairs just need to be gone over and that's it? So like when I come to repair this part of the floor here, this double skin that's destroyed, and I cut a hole out there, I don't need to go to all this effort to try and make it look nice, because you're never going to see it again. But anyway, this floor, as you can see now, is nice and finished and complete, and all the floor mounting sections are back in where they belong, so you can put a seat in. So with that, I'm going to call this video done, because all the floor has got the right markings in, all of the areas are exactly how they're supposed to be, and I think I'll just finish off with painting it in red oxide primer, just like this, because it doesn't really matter. So you know what, with that, I'm going to call this video done. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, because there are a lot of people out there that are not subscribed. Give us a like, leave me a comment of anything you want to see, any work that I've done that you think I've not covered fully, and we'll go from there. Hopefully I can, you know, get some more of the Capri done. This video took a long time to do. I'm talking 3 weeks maybe just to weld up that, with the small amount of time that I have actually got to work on the cars. But with that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.